Cynthia Rose Hoffman was a young teenager with a heart brimming with hope and a spirit yearned for genuine friendship. She has struggled with growth and disability, and all Cynthia desired was the warmth of friendship and love. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, her innocence was wickedly exploited. Her trust shattered by the very person she held dearest, all for $9 million bait. In this chilling saga that unfolded, Cynthia's story takes a harrowing turn as her very own friend, driven by greed, plots her demise. Welcome to True Crimes Unfolded, where we will be covering today the case of Cynthia Rose Hoffman's untimely death. A story that echoes with the cries of injustice and the echoes of a life stolen too soon. Cynthia Rose Hoffman was born on October 8, 1999 in Anchorage, Alaska, to Timothy and Barbara, or Christy Hoffman. She was one of 7 siblings, and their family had a strong bond. Cynthia was widely liked and caring towards those she knew. She dedicated herself fully to everything she pursued, despite facing challenges due to a developmental disability that limited her cognitive abilities to that of a 7th grader. Education proved to be a struggle, but she made a determined effort to graduate, and she had to change schools to achieve her goal. She faced the challenges without complaint, choosing to persevere rather than dwell on difficulties. Cynthia soon completed high school and took on jobs in various restaurants before eventually joining her father's business, Hoffman Handyman and Repair. She consistently strived to excel and became her father's indispensable assistant and aided him in all aspects of the business. However, everything turned on June 2nd, 2019, when Cynthia left her family's home to spend time with friends in the afternoon. Her father initially believed she was going to the movies, but as the evening drew near, her father, Timothy Hoffman, grew concerned. With no word from her and unanswered calls, his worry intensified. Despite repeated attempts to reach her, Cynthia remained out of contact. By 11:30 p.m., Timothy's apprehension deepened. Her lack of response heightened his sense that something was wrong. Frustrated by the standard 24-hour wait to report a missing person to the police, Timothy felt the urgency of the situation. Refusing to wait for the protocol, he took matters into his own hands and began searching for Cynthia. He embarked on a search across the woods and the town on his motorcycle, desperately seeking any trace of his daughter. While on his quest, he received messages from Cynthia's close friend from high school, Denali Bremer. Denali and Cynthia were practically inseparable, and they often engaged in typical teenage activities together. Denali repeatedly reached out to Timothy, expressing her concern for Cynthia's safety and hoping for her well-being. 2 days later, the Anchorage police made a grim discovery. Cynthia's lifeless body was found on the bank of the Klutna River, near Thunderbird Falls in Eagle River, just outside the city. She was bound with duct tape around her feet, hands, and mouth, and had suffered a single gunshot wound to the back of her head. The motive behind this horrific incident was inexplicable. Cynthia's close friend, Denali Bremer, had a tumultuous upbringing, which was marked by early separation from her mother and placement into state care, alongside her half-sister. Denali, who went by various aliases like Dakota or Angels, graduated from the same high school as Cynthia, forging a strong bond with her. Despite facing challenges, including the adoption of her child, Denali sought connections online, engaging with people through dating apps. In early 2019, she began conversing with a man named Tyler, whose last name was unknown to her. Tyler, purportedly a 21-year-old residing in Kansas, communicated with Denali under her alias, Angel, exchanging intimate details and confessions. Initially supportive and affectionate, Tyler's demeanor shifted as he divulged dark fantasies and urged Denali to assist him. By early May, he brazenly proposed a chilling offer. He would pay her $9 million to commit murder. Denali eagerly embraced his proposition and swiftly delved into planning with Tyler. She was equipped with a pistol for protection. Denali deemed it the ideal weapon for their sinister task. Tyler insisted on photographic evidence of the deed, prompting Denali to enlist the help of acquaintances, starting with Caden McIntosh, who was 16-year-old. She offered Caden a lucrative deal, but Caden readily agreed. Next, Denali approached Caleb Lebland, a 19-year-old, and teasing him with a substantial sum in exchange for the temporary use of his truck. Additionally, 2 other individuals were recruited for the operation, their identities shielded due to their minor status. This brought the total number of participants to 5, including Tyler, who was the orchestrator of the scheme. By late May, the plan was set in motion. The group convened to solidify their plan and select a date, with one exception. Tyler remained in Kansas, enjoying his purported wealth. They settled on June 2nd for their assault and targeted Denali's close friend, Cynthia Hoffman, who, despite being 19 years old, had the cognitive capacity of a 12-year-old, which rendered her particularly vulnerable. The heinous nature of their plot was apparent. Following the discovery of Cynthia's body, the Anchorage police launched an investigation, swiftly piecing together the events. On June 6th, Denali and Caden were apprehended for questioning. Denali quickly buckled under pressure and attempted to shift blame onto Caden. She concocted a narrative, alleging that on June 2nd, she, Caden, and Cynthia had convened, intending to spend the day driving around and smoking marijuana. They opted to visit Thunderbird Falls Trail, a scenic mile-long woodland path culminating in a 200-foot waterfall. En route, Denali proposed the idea of duct taping each other and capturing photos in the forest, a peculiar notion for an Alaskan Sunday outing. Surprisingly, both Caden and Cynthia acquiesced. Upon reaching a clearing after walking about a mile, Denali initiated the process, starting with Cynthia willingly submitting to being bound. Initially, it seemed like a playful game, but as Denali aimed her gun at Cynthia, panic ensued. Cynthia's distress escalated when she attempted to call for help, prompting Caden to intervene by seizing the gun and fatally shooting her. Shocked by the sudden turn of events, Denali and Caden dispose of Cynthia's body by the riverside. Following their confession, Caden was promptly arrested, while Denali, realizing the deceit surrounding the promised money from Tyler, found herself ensnared in his manipulative web. Tyler's sinister agenda became apparent as he exploited Denali's vulnerability, leaving her in a state of despair. When she realized the grim reality of her situation, Denali resorted to reaching out via Snapchat to friends and family. The account provided by Denali was mostly accurate, with a few notable exceptions. Contrary to her claim, Cynthia did not consent to being bound. She was coerced into it. Throughout the ordeal, Denali persisted in taking photos and videos, even as Cynthia lay in her final moments. Following the tragic events, Denali and Caden returned to Anchorage to dispose of Cynthia's belongings and erase any incriminating evidence. Although Denali was arrested by the police, she was determined not to face the consequences alone. It was time to unveil the truth about Tyler. Firstly, Tyler was not his real name, and he certainly wasn't a wealthy resident of Kansas. This should have been glaringly obvious. His true identity was Darren Schill Miller, a 21-year-old residing in Indiana, residing in his grandmother's basement. In his small hometown of New Salisbury, population 600, Darren was perceived as a peculiar and socially awkward individual who struggled academically and was often the target of bullying. He had a history of creating fake social media profiles to manipulate his peers, even resorting to soliciting inappropriate photos from mothers. Darren had previously come under federal scrutiny in 2018. In 2019, Bramer faced arrest and was indicted on a range of serious charges, including first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation of murder, and tampering with physical evidence, along with 2 counts of second-degree murder. After pleading guilty to first-degree murder, Bramer had the other charges dismissed, as confirmed by the Alaska Department of Law. She awaits sentencing in August, facing a potential sentence of 30 to 99 years behind bars. Similarly, Schill Miller faced arrest and indictment on 5 counts of murder, as indicated in online court records. McIntosh and Leyland faced indictment on 4 murder counts, with McIntosh also facing charges of evidence tampering. Both individuals have pleaded not guilty and await trial. Efforts to reach their attorneys for comment were unsuccessful. According to court documents, Bramer and Schill Miller devised plans for various criminal activities in exchange for financial gain, including the rape and murder of an individual in Alaska. Cynthia Hoffman's family has previously expressed their belief that she was targeted due to her learning disability, which left her developmentally younger than her 19 years. Cynthia Rose Hoffman was known for her kind-hearted nature, seeking simple enjoyment and companionship. Tragically, she was senselessly taken from this world, innocent and vulnerable. Her only desire was to spend time with friends, yet she fell victim to despicable individuals who exploited her trust. Her life was commemorated with a beautiful celebration, attended by a multitude expressing their love and support. Her absence is deeply felt by those closest to her, and I hope she has found peace in the afterlife. Following the initial courtroom proceedings involving Darren, Cynthia's father, Timothy, gave a poignant interview, offering insight into his emotional turmoil. It's a heartbreaking account that deserves attention.
I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm ready. I didn't see him walk in, but I have to hold back my emotions to show no emotions, to support my family. At this time, I do not care about his. I'm out for one thing, and one thing only, and that's justice. And that's to make them rot in jail, where all them people could send them to hell.
I was going to ask for you, not just with him, but with all the suspects, what does justice look like for you?
I'm going for the full 99 years. But I ain't going to stop coming until everybody hears my cry. It won't be an emotional one. It'll be one that the good Lord will be on my side. And it's already nationwide. And I'm sure there's a lot of people on my side. In that case, the judge has to hear it.
He's one of 6 individuals accused of having some role in your daughter's death. Do you feel any differently about any of the 6?
No, I think they all ought to cry, even the teenagers. To make a decision they made, to make the plot they plotted, to plan out my daughter's death, that's not being a teenager. That's being an adult. They all ought to be tried as one. They all ought to stay in these courts, put the age aside, and give them what they rightly deserve. I hear one of them wants to play a victim, but they're not victims. They planned all this. A few of them even came to my house. To come into my house as friends for my daughter, and to do what they did to her, I am backing off of this.
How's your family doing?
My wife don't come out of the house much. It's hard to get a smile on her face. My daughter stays up late at night all the time. I have to tell her when it's time to go to bed, even though she's an adult. I've told everybody together, and then myself, I work 12 hours a day to keep it out of my mind, but it never leaves it. Well, like I said, when they came up with the murder on the state to keep them in detention, I wanted to stand up in front of all them people and tell them that was my daughter that got murdered. This guy changed my entire life. He destroyed a lot, and now I gotta fix it and mend it and sew it together. I have to keep my family strong and make things go right.
Do you have any sort of indication from the attorneys where they're at in the process with figuring out if the other defendants will be moved to adult court?
Not yet. I read on Channel 11 that they ought to let Mr. Hoffman be put in a room for 30 minutes with him. And that'd been nice. But I'll still go with my faith, not revenge. I'll let justice do his job.
How hard is that, though?
Very.
The process is slow.
It's very hard for me. Back in the day, I would have probably flew down there and brought him up myself, willingly or unwillingly. Nowadays, I'm a parent, I'm responsible, I'm all about my children, and it's all about family. And that's the only thing I stand up for.
Thank you for watching. For more crime episodes like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe.